What is the most disturbing thing you guys have ever seen? A picture of a guy's face after it had been ripped off by a bear. Found a friend dead. Like 8 days dead. In my high school forensics case, we were learning about this case where this pizza delivery man was forced to rob a bank. The people who he had delivered his last pizza had put an explosive collar on his neck and promised that they would take it off if he robbed a bank. Well, he didn't make it and his head exploded on national TV. A girl in my class looked the video up and showed it to me. It was very disturbing. Just this morning, like 1 hour ago in Virginia, I watched a guy crossing the street get hit by a car going at least 60 miles per hour. I feel really fucked up about it and I'm not sure I can get through the rest of the workday now. My wife giving birth. I'm a bear, and I ripped off a guy's face. What's the most disturbing thing you know happened in real life that sounds like a horror movie? A 17-year-old boy lived in the walls of a house for months so he could spy on his ex-girlfriend. Things peaked when the girl's father saw him dressed as his dead wife, holding an axe and trying to convince her that she was her dead mother. Some teenagers in a town I lived in kidnapped the owner of the local newspaper, did who knows what to him, and then buried him alive with nothing but a straw to breathe through. He died, and they went to jail. Elderly man was his wife's caretaker. She had dementia but is relatively functional, can still drive, etc., although she sometimes gets confused about where she's going. Kids live out of town and rotate calling every week. They finally realize no one has actually talked to dad in months, it's just mom answering the phone, who always says he's at the store or taking a nap or in the shower. They call someone to go check on dad. Dad had presumably died in his sleep many weeks, or months, ago, and mom just kept living life unaware, including sleeping in the same bed as his body every night. It was so bad the interior of the windows were solid black with flies and they had to use shovels to scoop his liquid remains off the bed and into a plastic bin as best they could. I worked with this guy. He was real nice, but had his struggles. One day I noticed he wasn't at work, unlike him. Found out that the previous night he drove to the cemetery, doused himself in gasoline, and lit himself on fire. His girlfriend had somehow followed him there and tried, unsuccessfully, to stop/help him and got some serious burns as well. It was rough. Hospital workers of Reddit, what's the creepiest thing you've ever seen? My contribution: I'm on an on-call victim support team, so I often end up at the hospital at odd hours. This was around 4 a.m. I'd just finished doing my thing, and I was sitting in my car in the parking lot collecting myself and writing notes for my report when I see someone out of the corner of my eye. I clearly saw the blue of a hospital gown, but when I looked over, no one was there. I figure I'm just tired and riding out the adrenaline of the call, so I go back to doing my thing. After a few minutes, I once again spot something out of the corner of my eye. This time when I look up, someone is there. Standing on the curb in front of the hospital, I see a man in his mid to late 50s, thin hair up top, no facial hair. He's wearing a hospital gown and holding onto something metal, but from my angle, I couldn't tell if it was an 4-pole or a crutch. He wasn't leaning on it. He had this expression on his face of wide-eyed shock with his mouth slightly open, like he was trying to think of something to say and had totally stalled out. At this point I start glancing around for staff or something, because this man doesn't look like he should be outside alone. His skin is a messed up pale color, and he's barefoot. I can't see his feet well with the shadows, but his hand and fingers look bruised. As I'm looking around for staff, our eyes meet, and I know he sees me. I start thinking, okay, this guy can't wander around alone, half naked and unmasked. I have huge chills, but I turn to grab my mask and get out of my car to help guide him back inside. When I look up again, he's gone. I looked all over the parking lot for him, but he was gone. There's no way he could have vanished like that in the split second it took me to grab my mask. I don't know how to explain this without sounding dramatic, but my skin crawled when he looked at me. He looked like a guy who was slowly realizing he died and didn't know what to do now. I still think about it. Damn, that's creepy. You probably saw him as he was departing this earth. What was the most disturbing thing found in a video game? When you first arrive at the mental hospital in Outlast, you stumble across 2 escaped patients fucking a corpse. They didn't appreciate being disturbed. You like to watch, you little sicko? You weren't invited to watch. That little room in the beginning of Outlast 2 where they would sacrifice babies and you walk over all the dead babies' bodies and it even makes little crunching sounds. In Until Dawn, when you read a note and discover that one of the 2 sisters had to eat the other's corpse in order to survive. Pretty disturbing. Murdering the Elephant Queen in It Takes Two was pretty dark.
Think I saw into an alternate timeline for a second. Think I might have seen into another timeline for a second. Hey Race, what happened? I had a playdate set up for my son's friend to come over to our place. My son was feeling a bit nervous about it that morning and wasn't really in the mood for his friend to come over, so he kept saying to cancel it, and he put it into the universe that they wouldn't come. He said that a few times. I didn't want to cancel it because I don't like canceling things on others last minute, so I just left it. My son eventually got over those feelings and was looking forward to his friend coming. So the time comes where he's supposed to be dropped off, and they're not showing up. At first I thought they were just late, so we waited and waited. I kept looking out the window to see if they were there yet. Finally, when I look out again, I see a burgundy car on the other side of my black car in the driveway. I say they're here, so we go to the front door and wait a minute for a knock or doorbell. Nothing happens. I'm like so I open the door and look out. No one there, no car there. At this point I'm so confused. I swear I saw a car there, so I thought maybe they showed up but just left for some reason. I texted her to see if they were still coming but no response. I thought it was weird that the mom wouldn't text me to say they were late or couldn't make it after all. So we just assumed they're not coming and get on with our day. Finally, hours later I get a text from her saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I totally forgot about it." Which is fine, it happens. Just the weird part is that I saw a car there right around the time they would have showed up if they did come. So I thought maybe when my son was hoping and praying that they wouldn't come that morning, it switched the timelines to where they forgot, but I briefly saw into the timeline where they did show up. Weird to think about it.
What is the most disturbing thing to know? Sarin gas is one of the worst ways to kill another human being, and we have seen multiple instances where it has been used on innocent people. Whether relaxed or contracting, your muscles need certain signals in order to function. When you flex a muscle, a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine floods the muscle cells, telling them to contract. Your brain eventually tells the muscles to stop contracting, and so that acetylcholine has to be removed. This is done with acetylcholinesterase, an enzyme which breaks it down and allows your muscles to relax. This happens for every movement of every muscle in your body, whether you're flexing your bicep or blinking, every beat of your heart. Sarin kills because it bonds with acetylcholinesterase, completely changing its structure and rendering the enzyme useless. This means your muscles never relax, they flex harder and harder and harder. Your entire body can cramp, your pupils, everything. The burning gets worse and worse and the pain is unbearable. If enough of it enters the bloodstream, usually via skin, it will lock up your diaphragm and you will asphyxiate. It kills quickly, but I struggle to imagine too many things that would be worse than dying from cramps in muscles you didn't even realize existed. It's not the worst weapon humans have at their disposal, as if you survive a sarin attack you're likely to make a full recovery, as it doesn't scar lung tissue like other chemical weapons. That being said, it's still classified as a weapon of mass destruction and is supposed to be banned. What f'd you up as a kid on the internet? Was watching a video of a dispute at a Chinese building site or something. One guy just all of a sudden put a pickaxe through the top of the other guy's head. The guy with the jar that exploded in his ass. Technically a teen, I think 16, is when some image board, not 4chan but similar culture, found my fiction accounts and picked apart all my stories line by line, then one of them sent me a link to the thread so that I'd see it. That's the only time I ever got upset enough on the internet to talk to my mom about it, haha. There was a video of a motorcyclist who got jumped and stabbed in the skull with a screwdriver on YouTube before it got taken down. It was so effed up. Friends and I stumbled across the Pain Olympics one day, we were never the same. The guy who jumped from a bridge and landed on his face. Then few moments later you can see the middle part of his face is gone. The sad thing is, he is still alive. Well, when I was about 11, I had a Reddit account and I decided to post a picture of myself, and the stuff I got told by some adult men will always be in the back of my mind.